My Mark I Renault Twingo, also known as the Blue, is what I like to call a dubious little munchkin. Which is something I've learned firsthand, as the more I work on it, the more things I find that need work. The goal is still to get it on the road and daily drive it, and so with hopefully fixing everything on the engine and the suspension, we are slowly getting there. But there are still some more and some less important components that need to be checked. If you remember a couple of videos ago, I had to remove a fog light to get access to the horn. But I had problems doing that as the threaded rods in the housing of the fog light all spun and tore out. As I am planning to replace the bumper anyway, and I'll probably put on one without fog lights, as the car didn't even have them from factory, I just need the fog lights in and working for the tech inspection. Which will probably be faster than finding a new bumper and painting it.
But unfortunately, my patience has run dry.
So after I cut off the rusty studs and cleaned the mounting bracket, I just drove in some chunkier self-tappers which should hold for now.
Perfect, okay.
The fog light fiasco doesn't end there, however, as when I was unplugging the connector, I noticed that one of the wires got very corroded to the point where it just broke. Because the female pin in the connector itself was also corroded, I either had to replace the whole connector or try repinning it. Luckily, I managed to take apart the connector, and I even scavenged a female pin from a similar connector.
There we go, baby. Okay. It's not entirely the same one, but it's gonna be close enough, I think.
I also cleaned out all the other connectors with some contact spray and tested it.
Oh, it's on! Holy shit!
Looks like the fix was successful, so I reassembled the bumper and installed it back on the car. The goofiness sadly doesn't end here. When I parked the car last time, I decided to disconnect the battery to help it last longer as the car sits there. But then I tried to lock the car, I closed the door, slid the key in, and would you look at that, you can't turn it. This would have been problematic if the battery died while the car was locked. Luckily, I caught it when I did. At first I thought that the locks were just stuck or rusted, so I sprayed some WD-40 in both. But because that didn't change anything, I needed to investigate further by removing the locks. The passenger side door already had the window mechanism removed, so I just needed to remove the glass to get access to the lock. And when I took it out, I realized it wasn't rusted or anything, it just wasn't the right lock for the key. I was very confused about that, so I wanted to check out the driver's side as well. And wouldn't you know it, the same thing. But that's not even the main course of this fuckery. Just to test it out, I tried both the blues and the greens key on both the locks, and I figured out that the greens key is only one pin away from unlocking the passenger side. And when I picked that last one with the needle, I was able to turn the lock. However, no other key and lock combination gave anything close to this, which means that not only are the locks on the blue from a different car, they're actually from two different cars. Which is just... I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. If this is your first video here, welcome to the Twongi experience. And yes, I did try the other key I got with the car, they're the same, they both turn the ignition cylinder, but none of them turns the locks. The easiest and most elegant solution I found is to just order a set of aftermarket locks with a set of separate keys and use those to unlock the car manually when the central locking decides to die.
Okay, there we go. That's it. It's definitely in there. Now the fun part begins. One more example why the Twingo requires maximum patience. That rod, if you can see there, that one here, I have to clip it into this pink clip. You can't even see it because it's behind that main pillar. I have to hold it in place with one finger and I have to press the rod in with the second. And now I can't even see it. And there we go. It's a little easier, but still very hard. You just have to have finesse. This part was missing. I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to get another one. But then I had a little think, maybe there's been some pull at work here and he dropped it in here. And what do you know? There he is. Is he broken? Oh, absolutely.
After I put the new locks in, I decided to clean up some of the more hard to reach places on the door. Thinking back at it, I'm not really sure why I did that, because at that point I already knew that both doors will have to be replaced because of the rust. But, oh well, I guess I just can't help myself.
Fuck!
Now that that's fixed, I can also fix one more thing before I reassemble the doors. And that's the window mechanism. When I got the car, the window was being held up by these luxurious pieces of wood, because the window mechanism had so much play due to a worn out bushing that it couldn't hold the window in place. Luckily, I know a very skilled individual named Jeff, who took on a job of machining a new bushing for the blue. After the mechanism left Jeffrey's skilled hands, it was finally time for me to install it and see if it works.
Insertion. Supposedly for this, you're just supposed to press it in. That's violent. Alright, let's see if it works.
The mechanism worked. It has a bit of a wobble coming down, which got better when I put the window sills back in, but it's still not perfect. I'm guessing it's because of these Teflon stubs which slide on the guides are a little worn out already. But for a practically free fix, I won't complain. With that, I could finally reinstall the door cards, and I also reconnected everything in the tailgate, which was still disconnected from when we painted underneath.
Let's see if this works. There we go. Yes, okay.
I fully realized that the fixing of the Twingo is taking quite a bit longer than at first expected, which I can attribute to two main reasons. The first being the Twingo itself, being a gift that keeps on giving, and me distracting myself with fixing some things that aren't probably the top priority. Unfortunately, I have this urge to fix everything I can before I start driving the car, because things I said that are fine and will be fixed eventually start bothering me more and more until I'm eventually forced to fix them. And yes, you could consider this foreshadowing. But because this family wouldn't be complete with only one problem child, let's talk a little bit about the other rapscallion. I am of course talking about the Green. The Green has decided that having 4 firing cylinders is overrated, and he's gonna use one as an air compressor. Which is a big problem when you need all 4 to make it up certain hills in any gear other than first. With everything going wrong in the land of Nuggetopolis, it does kind of feel like having to fix 2 Twingos at once is a bit more than I could chew. But don't worry, I think it's still very doable. As long as it's just these 2 dinguses here, it's perfectly doable. Now, if there were any more, that...